a photograph surfaces. A man in a spacesuit, floating, smiling. A small dog beside him, drifting in the same frame. Officially, neither of them ever left the ground. Officially, neither of them ever existed. Somebody took the time to erase a man from history, then, decades later, forgot to erase the photo too. 1968, the Soviet space program. A cosmonaut named Ivan Istochnikov. A dog named Kloka. A mission called Soyuz 2. Except there's no Soyuz 2 in any official record. Just Soyuz 3. Flown by one man. Alone. So who's the second man in the photograph? Here's what you need to understand about the Soviet space program. It never announced a mission before it happened. Only after it succeeded. If it failed, the world simply never heard about it. No wreckage, no names, no funerals on the record. That wasn't an accident. That was the rule. Nobody enforced that rule outside Soviet borders. In a small Italian farmhouse, two brothers built their own listening station, Achille and Giovanni Battista Giudica Cordiglia. Just teenagers with radio equipment, pointed at the sky. And in the early 1960s, they say they heard things the Soviet Union never wanted anyone to hear. A heartbeat, fading, then gone. A man's voice, saying conditions are worsening, asking why no one answers. A woman, they claimed, burning up on re-entry. The brothers played these recordings on Italian radio. The world listened. The Kremlin said nothing. To this day, no one has proven the tapes are real. No one has proven they're fake either. Now here's the part that isn't folklore. March 23rd, 1961. 10 days before Yuri Gagarin became a legend. A cosmonaut named Valentin Bondarenko was training in an isolation chamber. A spark, pure oxygen, a fire he couldn't escape. He died within hours. The Soviet Union didn't announce it. Not that week, not that year. It stayed buried for 25 years. So the question isn't whether the USSR hid a death. It's how many others they hid the same way. A year earlier, a rocket engine exploded on its launch pad during a secret test overseen by a Soviet marshal named Nedelin. At least 78 people were killed instantly. The world was told nothing for almost 30 years. Not a name, not a number, not a headline. If they could erase 78 people, one man in a photograph is almost easy to believe. So we go back to Ivan Istochnikov, the floating cosmonaut, the dog. Here's what almost nobody mentions when they share that photo. In 1997, a Spanish artist named Joan Fontcuberta admitted the truth. He built the whole story. The photos, the medals, the biography. Istochnikov was fiction, an anagram of his own name. The lost cosmonaut never existed at all. So the photograph is fake. But the silence it was built on top of was real. Bondarenko was real. Nedelin was real. The Giudica Cordiglia tapes are still unexplained, 60 years later. An artist built a myth because the truth already sounded like one. He didn't invent the idea of a lost cosmonaut. He just gave it a face. Most hoaxes fall apart the moment you check the facts. This one got stronger the more you checked, because the real history was already stranger than the fake one. A government that erased its own dead doesn't get to be shocked when people start inventing the ones it might have missed. The photograph was never real, but somewhere in a buried file, in a language that isn't ours, there are names that were. Sometimes the fake story isn't the dangerous one. The dangerous one is the true story that was hidden so well. A lie was the only thing left standing in its place.